There are the righteous amongst the nations. God has created us all in his image. Some individuals choose to be the righteous amongst the nations. And we are taught that those individuals who are not Jewish, who are counted amongst the righteous amongst the nations, will be living for eternity when the Messiah comes. I want to share with you one of the righteous Gentiles who stood up for Israel in a way that many others have not. So boldly and so beautifully spoke from his heart. He is a Canadian minister by the name of Pierre Poilievre. He spoke so beautiful and so inspirational, so from the heart, that you would wonder, is he Jewish? Look how he talks and look how he expresses himself about the war in Gaza and realizing the truth, and is able to stand tall and say the truth boldly and loudly for the world to hear. And I would like to share with you his words, his kind words, and realize how important it is to be able to stand tall and talk what's right.
October 7th, Hamas carried out the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. They deliberately targeted innocent mothers, babies, grandparents, partygoers, peace activists, and countless others who had no connection whatsoever, even to military life. These were innocent civilians living their lives until they suddenly came to an end. The attacks unleashed a carnage that is almost unprecedented in human history. In fact, what was special about these attacks is the delight and the triumphal pride and exhibitionism with which Hamas surely carried them out. All of that reminds us that Hamas is not a militant organization. It is not a government. It is not an activist group. Hamas is a sadistic, criminal, terrorist death cult, and it must be defeated. There will be and there can be no negotiating with Hamas. Hamas can only be destroyed, just like President Obama destroyed and assassinated Osama bin Laden. There was no negotiating with bin Laden, and there can be no negotiating with Hamas. And this attack was also an attack on Canadians. If I could quote my deputy leader, in the carnage, 5 Canadians were murdered. And they're not just numbers. Alexander Luke from Montreal, Ben Mizrachiov of Vancouver, both murdered when Hamas opened fire on a music festival. Shir Gregory was also killed. Adi Vital Kaplun of Ottawa was murdered in her kibbutz, and Ned Epstein was murdered as he attempted to defend his girlfriend against a grenade. They are now in our memories forever, and may their memories be a blessing. And we know why Hamas felt the need to act with such drastic cruelty at this time. Hamas, of course, is guided by its terror sponsor, the dictatorship in Tehran, which had been growing in its concern for Israel's signature of the Abraham Accords with the UAE, with Bahrain, an agreement with Sudan, and even the possibility of normalization with Saudi Arabia. This kind of peace between Muslims and Jews, between Israelis and Arabs, would be a nightmare for both Hamas and for the dictatorship in Iran. who seek to perpetuate the conflict and the divisions as a source of power. They need to perpetuate the hatred in order to justify their dictatorships. And that's why they felt the need to interrupt any path towards peace. Here in Canada, we judge people on their own merits, their own deeds, and their own words. That is why the great Canadian Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier said when he was asked what is our nationality, he did not list an ethnicity or a religion or any other superficial demarcation. Back then, we were already mixed up. We had obviously Indigenous people, Scots, Irish, and many people from all around the world in our country. And therefore, we could not define ourselves on any of those lines. So he said, Canada is free and freedom is its nationality. And so it is today. And so let us then set out to protect the freedom of all Canadians and to stand for the values of freedom all around the world. Let us support our Jewish and Muslim friends here in this country as they watch with horror and with sadness at what is happening to loved ones on the other side of the world. They too are Canadians. They are our people. We must stand with them now and always, because after all, we are Canadians. Thank you.
When you hear such words from a minister in Canada who is not afraid but to talk the truth and to realize and recognize that many need to be able to follow just as he has. He has set a wonderful example to stand tall and call it as it is. We know in the Bible there is a responsibility that was given over by God to eradicate a nation named Amalek. Amalek is the first nation who attacked the Jewish people when they left Egypt. They were the first to stand up with anti-Semitism to attack the Israelites for no reason whatsoever. It is there that the Bible said this nation must be eradicated. It doesn't say make peace with them. It doesn't say have another state near them. There is no two-state solution. The only solution is, as to quote the Bible, you must eradicate any memory of the Amaleks. I think what we have seen since October 7, who is the Amalek of our generation? And if we all together in the free world stand up and we are able to announce and identify where the axis of evil is nowadays and who are the murderers, the terrorists, the savage, barbaric murderers of our times, then we all together need to eradicate them, that there should be no resemblance. No semblance of the memory should remain. That's the only way there's going to become peace. Let's pray and hope that many more stand up tall to say the truth, just like Mr. Pierre Poilievre spoke so bravely and so brilliantly. Let's pray and hope for eternal peace in the Middle East and throughout the world.